What's up, everybody? It's been a long time since I've done one of these development updates. That's not because we're not working, that's just because we've been working harder and trying to push out more stuff and have more to show in each one of these updates. So as you can see right now, we do have quite a bit of new stuff. 49 just got a new engine. It's a KME engine, same as 30's engine from the build you guys have been playing. But unfortunately 30's KME is broken down, so you got a spare. That way we can still have a mixture of the newer and the older trucks in the game, but still throwing in a variety so you guys can, like 49 we got a new truck, 30 got a spare. 68 got a new truck also. Let me hop over there real quick, show you guys how that's looking. Alright, I guess I can't click it, but as you can see, it's one of the new tower ladders. It's now a 95 footer, so that means you got a longer length and a longer span that you can extend the tower ladder. What you can also see is we have a new lighting and weather system and an environment system, so you got a much more complex weather and day and night progression system. So as you can see up here, you now have a full menu by pressing F6 or this little icon up here. But you can go and cycle through night, day. You can have it on the simulated mode. You can have it so that it doesn't progress at all. For all those guys that have been asking, can we have, a static day or night option? This was our solution to that request. You can also do system time, so whatever time your system has. Currently it's 8:45 in Atlanta, Georgia. That is my system time. You can also change your simulated day length. So if I want my day to be really short, I can put it down here, and if I want it to be long, I can bring it up. So next is the weather. So each you're gonna have different random weather presets depending on your season settings. So in the summer it won't rain as much, in the spring it'll rain, in the fall it'll rain and be colder, winter will be a lot of snow. You also have your weather options here. We can go clear skies. And the cool thing is, you really don't get to see it in this camera, but if you go into this camera, check this out, guys. We're gonna throw some clouds in the sky, and bam, the clouds are really much better looking than they were before. The whole weather system is. And you can change the weather quality. You have flat clouds, or you can have volume clouds, which volume obviously look much better. You can change the quality. As you can see, it looks beautiful. Much better than our previous lighting solution. Alright, so we'll move on from here. I'm going to take you guys to check out the new NYPD vehicles. Alright guys, we're back on the other side of the academy. I'm here to show you the new NYPD vans that we added. It's a little different variation from the RMPs that we have in the game right now. The Impala, the Crown Vic, all that stuff. These still need to get lit. I have to set up the lighting on them, but they do have a full interior, as you can see, which will be fun with first person. You can check out a much more detailed light bar model than what we had before. We also put these on the fire trucks that have them, but you can see a much nicer looking light bar than what we've had before. I'll go ahead and take you guys around the back as well to check that out. But yeah, this is all, eye candy, minor stuff that we did because a lot of people had been requesting, new trucks and things like that. So we kind of wanted to change it up to make things a little more exciting for 0.7. Another cool thing I want to show you guys is the new lighting system renders the emergency lights that you see off the fire trucks from a much farther distance. So when you're coming up to a fire or an emergency, you have a much more exciting view of all the lights and the I'll show you guys. Even just up close, the lights look much better. They have much more of like a brightness effect and a bloom. I'm still tweaking it, but it does look really nice. This is the new Ladder 6A. I'm going to show you guys the lights on this. As you can see, the new light bar on these trucks looks really nice. Has a much more realistic look to it. Alright. Yeah, like if you look at engine 30 and 49 in the distance, the lights still look really nice and bright, whereas in before, if you watch closely, the lights had to fade out before. It was more of a performance thing, but we found a much better solution. So speaking of performance, what we been working on a lot in this next update, is optimizing the city map. Now, a big issue we had was many of the buildings were way too over polyed, or too many materials and textures, which tends to put a lot more strain on the graphics card and the RAM on your computer. This could cause crashes, obviously, during loading, crashes during playing the game, and just general lag and performance issues. So I'm gonna go ahead and load up the city scene, and I'll pick up from there and let you guys know what we've been working on so far. Alright guys, so we're back, and I'm excited to show you guys a few couple things in this scene. So one thing we really focused on was optimizing this scene because a huge amount of people were crashing or lagging, and we put a lot of time into doing some things to optimize your performance and really lower the possibility or probability of you crashing. One thing was to find the really problematic buildings, which there were plenty on this map. Just buildings that are completely over the top with polygons and materials and textures and things like that. What we did was we have a new tool that can allow us to replace that building with a procedural unique building within a matter of minutes, and we can change whatever details we want on that building. So for example, I'll kind of show you the process. You'll still see overlapping buildings and buildings that aren't going to be there in the update because I'm still working on it, but I'll show you sort of how it works. So like what I have to do is go through and make sure there's no buildings in the middle of blocks like this and like this. So what I could do right here actually is I'll show you. So I have this really low poly building. It just looks bad, like plain bad. Let me remove that as well. And so I'm going to replace it with this building right here that looks a lot better. And what I can do is I can resize this building in any direction, up, down, x-axis, y-axis. And then I'll show you once I get this sized up correctly. This tool allows us to, I'm going to keep it like this because I like that look. Okay, so we can change how the floor level looks, which I'll leave it like this. We can change how the front looks. Oh, speak of the devil.
Hey.
Hey, what's up? I'm actually recording right now, so you came in at a good time. I'm explaining to everybody what we're doing with the seascape and optimizing the city. I'm just kind of showing them how we make a building and stuff like that. If you want to talk a little bit about, what we're doing to improve performance, loading times, and reduce crashing.
Yeah, well, most of the crashing was usually because of, at least for 80% of the people, was it because VRAM? And that was because all the buildings are unoptimized. I mean, most of them, they're not optimized for gaming, and they have unique textures and different materials, so it pretty much increases all the stats when rendering. But what we're doing right now with the new buildings, they mostly use DX11, DX12 for texture buffers. So all textures are really loaded really fast, and it's really easy to keep in memory and compact. And then all buildings, they all are drawn in one single draw call because they mostly use one or two materials, depending on case. And the polygon count is really reduced. They only use like a couple hundred polygons compared to a couple 100,000 polygons for some of the buildings that we had before, which overall will increase performance. And I think seascape buildings look better compared to the most of the old ones.
Yeah, they definitely look great, and they are way more optimized for what we're doing, simulating an entire city rather than just like a single block or something.
And also having like high performance on like the base building allows us to add like a lot more detail to the scene. If you can show them um, the Chinatown, which has a lot of detail to it, and it's also optimized, so we can add a lot of more things.
Yeah, I'm also gonna go ahead and show them some of those new environment areas I was working on, like the parking deck and under the highway bridge. I'm gonna go ahead and show them that. I'll share my screen with you so you can kind of follow along. I don't know if I've showed you the parking deck yet.
I saw it.
Okay, cool. So here we have a 24-hour. There's plenty of parking areas like this in the city, just underground parking decks and things like that. This isn't exactly how it's going to look in the game, but the lighting is a little more simulated. So we can definitely have a variety of emergencies in here, like alarms or sprinkler activations or car fires, explosions, collapses, things like that. So it's a lot of alright, sorry about that, guys. The my disk got full while recording the video, so we're going to pick up where I left off. Basically, we have new emergencies that we can make with every environment that we add. So for every interior that we add, we can add a fire, we can add an alarm, we can add a medical emergency, we can add anything. So that is the parking deck. I'll show you guys another little cool area that I was working on. If you guys remember, I think it was 2 years ago, there was a big fire under an L train in Harlem. So I'm still working on this area, but we can have some cool, little fires or emergencies in this area. I want to fill up this whole thing with just maybe like a yard of school buses or garbage trucks or just other construction materials or vehicles. And there's a lot of empty areas that we still have to add some of those seascape buildings and places that were really unoptimized and just taking a ridiculous amount of performance. So once we finish this, performance should be a really good increase, and we'll take a lot of VRAM stress off of your graphics card. Don, are you back? Alright, he's not back yet. But another cool and exciting thing we've been working on is something I really wanted to incorporate into the game since I stopped modding Emergency 4. It takes a long time if there's an emergency for you to get all the units that you need on your emergency or wherever you need them to be. So we're adding new RTS feature so that'll add AI to vehicles and characters, so they can respond to the scene. So let's say you want to respond in one truck, and instead of having to send and drive every single truck to the fire, AI will respond in those trucks to the fire or to the emergency. The characters will get on the trucks, and they'll be there at the fire for you to use. Once we get more into the AI, then we'll have, each firefighter will be smart enough to do his job in whatever position he's assigned to. It's a very complicated thing. That's why this update has been taking so long, because of everything we've been showing you. But when it's done, it's going to be a really good update. So we're excited to show you guys what we've been working on. We're going to do a actual gameplay video in the city.
Right.
What's up? With the YouTube gamer who hasn't reviewed our game yet, but we're going to announce all those details later. And then the update will be live shortly after that. Another thing just quickly I added was at the school, I made side entrances because it was annoying just having one entrance. So it's easier to get access to the fire through these side entrances. What were you going to say, Donut?
I wanted to give people an update on the AI.
Mm-hmm.
You also, because you don't know how much about it, yeah. So AI is pretty much done both for trucks and for characters. The way AI works, this is more important for you, Raf. AI hooks dynamically into the game code and all events, so it's really easy for us to set up to pretty much to do anything that any player can do in the game, which pretty easy. So we'll be able to create realistically and complex kind of behaviors for both trucks. And so at least for your Raf, like setting up the truck to open the gates and spawn it and move somewhere, you just pretty simple, just drag two scripts and you put two events in, and it does that. And same for characters.
Cool. So it should be pretty fun to set up and pretty not as difficult as I would have imagined.
I set up most things. Like I set up all the brake zones for the trucks around the city. I set up like all the nav meshes and all the behaviors and all that. You only have to I made it so it's simple to integrate with everything, because trucks spawn in, spawn out, and stuff like that. So easy not to mess up.
Yeah. Oh,